I went retro game hunting at Super MAGFest 2024 and saw some pretty cool stuff. Everyone there braved a snowstorm to show up and it was so much fun. I learned a really valuable lesson while also walking away with the game I've been chasing for a while. This is the first video of this kind that I'm making. Let me know if you enjoy it in the comments and let's get into it. I got to the expo hall right as it opened, and as you can see when I walked in, a lot of the booths weren't open yet. Like I mentioned, it was snowing a lot, so I imagine a fair amount of people got delayed. No problem, I set off into the rows of booths and came across one selling exactly what we're here to check out. Video games. Walking up on the table, they seem to have a good spread. Some original Xbox, some PS2, Xbox 360, and more. While I start to sort through the games, I took a look at a really cool edition of Two Worlds for the Xbox 360. I don't know a lot about the game, but I do recognize the title, and it's not one on my list to get, so I put it back. Then I moved over and checked out their NES selection. They had a lot of complete in-box games, but none that I needed. They had some other little things that I wasn't super interested in, so I ended up moving on. After leaving that booth, I immediately saw another booth that looked promising, but then I had my heart broken because these are actually soundtracks from animes and video games. Super cool, but not really my cup of tea. However, behind that booth, I saw another one that looked like it was worth checking out. It had a lot of overseas Switch and PlayStation releases. This isn't something I'm really into. They also had some DS games, but I moved on looking for something more my speed. After going wide around the hall to the other side, I spotted a booth with a lot of Magic cards and retro games. Now, they mostly had sealed games, as you see, so sadly, again, there wasn't really anything I'm looking for. You guys know I collect games to play them, not to kind of just look at them on a shelf, so sealed games don't really appeal to me. And for your guys' reference, I do have a spreadsheet of the things that I want for my collection, so I'm pretty organized about what I am and am not looking for, and so I started to get a little disappointed. I did a lap and there was nothing else for me to look at, until I'd taken off my camera to just kind of walk around and wait for other booths to open, but I saw a new booth open that was really exciting. So I put my camera back on, which you can see here, to check it out. There are tons of bins of games at this booth. NES, SNES, PlayStation, Xbox, you name it. I took a look at the Xbox bin and picked up a copy of Gauntlet Dark Legacy. I freaking love this game, and on my collection wants, I actually am still debating whether I want it for Xbox or GameCube. I know the GameCube version is much more expensive, but I do remember it more fondly playing on the GameCube. However, this game, even though it's just 30 bucks, you can see there's a lot of wear and tear on the box, so I'm just not really interested in it. So I put it back and I keep looking. I hook around the table to check out their nicer cases. You can see they have some CIB Pokemon, original Zelda, and one last thing that piqued my interest. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team complete in box. You can see I take it out of the box to check it, and this is where I learned my valuable lesson. So up until now, I hadn't found anything that really excited me. While I was holding this Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, which is on my wants spreadsheet, I had to take a step back and ponder it. It is far down on my list of wants. You know, it's not something that I'm like really gunning to get. So did I really want to pick this up now, or am I just getting excited because it's the first thing I'm really interested in? It's low priority, I'm not foaming at the mouth to get it, so I decided to thank the guy, hand it back to him, and just think about it for a bit. This is only my second convention looking for retro games, so really experiencing it and learning that just because it's there doesn't mean I have to buy it felt like an important lesson. Obviously, you can say these things, you know, they're common knowledge, people say them all the time, but really experiencing it makes you understand it differently. So by this time, as I was walking around, I spotted another booth still setting up, and this booth is really different. As you can see, they have a ton of games, but not just any games. These are reproductions. You can see the Pokemon games have all weird labels. That's because they're not genuine. These are cool to see, and some people are really into them. Personally, I don't really care for them, so I'm just browsing. I do pick up, you can see, a copy of Mother 3. This is a game I really like, and I kind of pondered playing it on the Game Boy in this translation version, but I decided, I don't really need it, and put it back. I back up and go walk around some more, waiting for them to finish setting up the booth, and after a little while I came back and boy do they have games. Lots of complete in-box stuff like you can see in some high-end GameCube games. Unfortunately, and this isn't an attack against them, just my own personal opinion, their price is what I would consider really high, like 50 to 75% over what market price is. Like I could find dozens and dozens of eBay listings for much lower. Now I do check out their other games. They have some cool magazines like Nintendo Power. Nothing was really speaking to me, but they did have a decent selection. This is also where I learned about Celebrity Deathmatch for the Xbox. This is a show that I thought was hysterical as a kid, and I never knew they made a game for it. When I get back to my apartment after this, I'll have to research it a little bit. At this point, there was only one booth I hadn't looked at that looked promising, and I was just waiting for it to open. I was feeling kind of down since I couldn't really find anything I wanted. I revisited the Pokemon Rescue Team booth and had another internal debate about picking it up, and again, I just decided it wasn't the time. Alright, so then the final booth opens, and boy was I happy to see it. They had a fantastic selection, as well as a few games that are on my high priority list for collecting. A lot of them, however, are high-end GameCube games, but like the other place, the prices were pretty nuts, like 50 to 75% over the going online rate again. I ended up only making one purchase for the day though, and that's the original Metroid for the NES. This is a game that's been on my list for a long time and one I really wanted to try. I love Metroid Prime and wanted to see where it got its roots. I also took a peek at Turok Evolution for the GameCube, but it's missing the manual, so I passed on it. This is a game I remember playing when I was younger and it was pretty cool, but I'm a kind of a stickler for things being complete. So that's it. I picked up only one game at the convention. It was a lot of fun walking around and seeing everything. It's a little unfortunate that I was only able to pick up one game for my want list, but happy I got to experience the entire thing. Like I said in the beginning of this video, this is the first video I've made of this kind, so please let me know in the comments what you think and if you want to see more, and I'll catch you in the next video.